Welcome back to Flanks06 channel here, doing a video, unboxing video here for Valor and Villainy, Lludwik's Labyrinth, and the expansion here that we're going to talk about here, Antagonist Arsenal. Anyway, so we'll just be doing a full unboxing here. Before we get into the unboxing, I really wanted to just talk about what this series is. And what the previous game was and what this new version is promising. So Valor and Villainy, Minions of Mordak is a game that came out, I believe, 2 years ago. I, at the time, had considered backing it, but wasn't exactly sure if I wanted to get into it, mostly because of the game mode that the game is based around, which is a one versus many game mode. So it's, one that maybe not as popular with a lot of board game groups, especially if you have people that are not really great with competitive games already, and then saying, hey, let's play a game where everybody gangs up on one person is not necessarily one that draws in a lot of people. But it's what it draws me to this game and even this new content here is the art and theme of the game is just fantastic. I love it. I love kind of that almost comic booky-ish, silly, but still trying to be serious dungeon crawler fantasy world. So I don't know, it's just a theme and style that I really enjoy. So that's why I ended up getting a copy in the aftermarket for this. So Valor and Villainy, Minions of Mordak. It was a pretty fun game, I'll say, from a gameplay perspective. It's pretty solid game. Pretty much it is the idea that one player is playing Mordak, who is the bad guy, and then everyone else is the heroes. They go around the board, and in fact, let me just kind of show it right there on the back there. So the players go around the board, they're exploring the board, they're getting loot, they're fighting bad guys, they're leveling up, and as the game progresses on, Mordak is trying to still kill the heroes through controlling the bad guys and doing what things he can, and if he does kill the heroes, he gets stronger. So Mordak doesn't actually show up till near the end of the game, and at that point, that is his best chance to actually, kill the heroes. He's generally, more stacked, right? He has better abilities and things to fight them, but it does actually surprisingly come out most of the time kind of pretty well. I will say that one of the good downside fun parts of the game was there's these magic cards which you can use, and there's a kind of like gotcha mechanism of the game. It made it a lot of fun to play, but the downside of it was it could kind of lead into some players spending way too much trying to think out the optimum path to gotcha somebody else, and sometimes it just kind of slowed it down a little bit more than maybe it should have. But anyway, it's still a very fun game. But like I said, it is kind of a game that's harder to table just because it's more restrictive game mode there. Now, Lludwik's Labyrinth here, the new content we're about to unbox here, is basically a co-op dungeon crawler expansion. Well, I think it's actually it is a standalone game, so you don't need the original to play this one. You could get this alone, and that's good enough. Comes with different heroes, and then more bad guys. In this one, there's only one bad guy. Anyway, so it's supposed to be a dungeon crawler experience. I don't think it's like a super long one. And some of the improvements that they have made otherwise is so with melee and range characters, there usually wasn't a lot of that fun aspect of using the different cards. For example, there was the magic cards. There wasn't anything for melee and range characters, so you kind of just roll the dice, and then if you got something good, then you got something good. Otherwise, that was pretty much it. So it was very simple, which is a pro and con at the same time too. So it kind of made it a little more boring if you were somebody that didn't have a lot of magic abilities, and kind of letting you to, build a spec for that. But anyway, don't want to get into too much of that. This is the new game here, and we'll do this one after here. But this is Valor Villainy Antagonist Arsenal. Pretty much what this is almost, I'd say it's probably closest to like a conversion kit. What it does is it lets Mordak here, there is a new miniature for him, but he can be used in Lludwik's Labyrinth in the co-op mode. It's also allowing the bad guys in this mode go back to the one versus many mode of Minions of Mordak. So you're not just being Mordak, you could be Lludwik, himself, and attacking the hero. So it's a different experience. And then they kind of tried to make the game a little bit simpler in the way that you could kind of play through this one versus many mode quicker, because that is kind of one downside, is if you did have some of those interactions kind of going too long, then it kind of expanded out this. So we'll look into this. Hopefully this is providing a lot of those things that was kind of missing from the original, but we'll have to see about that. But let's first start with Lludwik's Labyrinth here, and then we will go on. So let's look at the box, some great character art. By the way, this thing is super thick. I didn't actually compare it to the size of Tenaris Adventures. I could probably do that real quick. It looks just almost identical height, maybe just slightly taller than Tenaris Adventure. So it is a very tall board game. It's a little more, I guess, equal on all sides. It's more square, so it will fit in your calyx there, but it does take up a lot of space. It's a lot of fantastic art here on the side. Anyway, so, and the front of this is absolutely beautiful. So you kind of have that textured surface. So like this bull character here, you can see that, or you can actually feel that he has some differences there. And there's the extra kind of like reflective coating there on the top. Just, it's a very beautiful top box there. And I'm already liking what I see here in terms of, and maybe it's not on all sides. Oh, there's some different things. Okay. So art on the side, you guys got to see. But let's quickly look at this side here. This is exactly what I like to see in my games, is giving you the organization of the board game on the box. So you're not looking for another paper, you're not looking for anything else, it's all right here. That is fantastic, and we'll have to see how useful it is kind of going with this later. All right, there is kind of a promo page here for Antagonist Arsenal, which we do have. Not really sure exactly what that be, and guess if you didn't have it before, maybe you know about it now. Same thing with Valor Villainy Minions of Mordak is explained on that page. Okay, so let's go back to this front page. There is a big pizza here on the top, because the idea is, I believe, something about like there's this pizza restaurant that got taken over by Lludwik and his gang of bad guys. And, so there's like a thank you here. There's some discussion of like sleeving things, deluxe miniatures. So I will look through this more in detail after. But we got the rule book. I will say in the original Minions of Mordak game, the rule book was probably the worst part of the entire game. It was poorly organized. It didn't answer a lot of questions. So we'll have to see how this one does, because the previous one was not great. I guess what I probably should have mentioned just at the beginning is this is a Skybound Tabletop Games game. So if you were wondering who the publisher is, that is the the people that do this. So you are still going to be doing a lot of the same kind of things that you did in Minions of Mordak, where you build your labyrinth and it's in a set grid period. So that is still the same there. It looks like there's a lot of the same type of things of, you know, that same type of gameplay, right? You have magic rolls, range rolls, melee rolls, heroes taking damage, and the villains tracking it around the sides of the board. There is the map that'll be moving. It looks like there's some orientations that are a little bit different from before. There was no orientation. You kind of just had certain spots, and then they set up however. Stuff about leveling up, which there was in the original one, and final battle. So a lot of this stuff very similar to what the original game was. Let's see, some advanced rules and stop below or spoilers. Okay, and then frequently asked questions. So hopefully, and then back page is a good kind of reference page there. So hopefully that'll turn out. I will probably provide an update status later to let you know how that actually went in playing the game, because I do plan on probably playing this tomorrow after I have it all set up. So the base camp book. So this looks like kind of the campaign log here. And there is multiple here. So I'm not sure if this is necessarily like multiple playthroughs and you write out each one, because it does list in this section here, like right, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Quest 1, 2, 3, 4, Act 4, and then multiple quests in here. So I think this could be, yeah, exactly. It says need more sheets. So this is multiple campaign sheets that you can use here for tracking it. So not a super long campaign. Good book here. Very thick front page. I like to see, you know, like I said, this game is all about like the art and the silly background to it. So let's see. Some victories are bittersweet, though their beloved and mighty King Huck Shapiro had perished after a tragic catapulting the evil wizard's plans lay in ruin, and the kingdom of Hawkmoor was saved by the victorious order without borders. In celebration, Gillipsy, the caring pizza baron, owner of the local King Shapazi franchise, offered 20 victoriously prized sun-fried pizzas and use of his world-famous pit of balls. As an order, members, new and old, raced to the Shapiza pizza, anticipating an evening filled with pizzas and balls, blissfully unaware that the victory pricing was suspiciously similar to regular pricing. Danger was the last thing on their mind. Danger, however, has a means of working itself into even the most well-planned meal. So anyway, that gives you just a quick glimpse here of kind of what the writing is for this game. So they have, looks like, some setup, introductions, objectives. You got some stories here, and then some conclusions here. So it looks like there will be some different cards. We got some different art here of the bad guys that we'll be facing. That is Lludwik himself. And I think this is like Champa Wampa is his name. So, you know, obviously all these characters have very silly names. But this looks like be pretty fun. Hopefully good time. And, you know, I'm expecting like a lighter experience. Nothing really crazy, but just something to maybe play, get through, you know, a couple times and see how it is, right? This looks like a reference sheet here. In fact, there's a whole glossary there on the back. All right, going to the next page, which it looked like this page kind of took a little bit of a beating here. I'm not sure if that's the intent, but like some of this is kind of ripped. Do not open campaign book. Instructs you to keep the envelope after opening, as it can later be used to reset your campaign. Okay, so it looks like it's kind of this similar to like a Gloomhaven and other games where you unlock things. But looks like the packaging itself is kind of taken some rips and tears. I'm not sure what is causing that. But anyway, there is multiple of these, and they pretty much all have these little rips and tears. Oh, finally some ones that didn't here. So there is quite a few of these, actually. And all little different symbols. Not really anything else beyond these symbol names. So it's kind of, reminds me a little bit of Gloomhaven and Frosthaven, where you have the different classes. Who knows? Maybe you unlock different classes. Oh, it feels like too much for this game. All right, so there is 2 organizer boxes in here already. They look like they are exactly the same, and I expect we're going to be popping out tokens and filling these puppies up. Yeah, it's always good having pre-made storage boxes, so you don't have to purchase your own. To me, I know Dragori doesn't always do this very well either, so take that as whatever you want. But games, I feel like, especially if they provide a lot of material, they should provide some kind of storage. Like, storage should be in the design of the game, and not just like we're kind of expecting that you buy something after to make this usable, right? Because people want to play their games, but they also want it to be like in an organized, usable manner. Otherwise, you're probably just not going to play it if you can't ever do that. Okay, so we have some of the storage boxes there. There's a big thing here. I believe this is probably a lot of the cards. Yep. So there is quite a few cards here. Mini sideboards. So this looks like a lot of the mana card, or the spell cards there, sorry. These are some of the item cards there. The hefty dumbbells. That's a ranged card there. This one, it looks like maybe another spell, but maybe something more specific. The thieving bandit there on that one. And this is a pretty thick container, piece of cardboard there, so this should do hopefully pretty well. So if you're hearing that in the background, that is thunder, as we are having a big thunderstorm. So hopefully it doesn't get too distracting. Full-size starters do not shuffle. This is numerically ordered, containing all the cards you need to play your first game. We recommend opening the campaign book right away and using the cards in this deck to play the tutorial. Okay, and actually there's a little extra piece of cardboard here that I think is a separator to kind of make the cards not go flying around. I think that's a lot of stories. In fact, so here is, I think these might actually be some dividers. They're kind of soft feeling, so it might be a way to kind of split up your campaign. I think I did see some pictures in the of previous updates that they did for the game, where this is going to be all kind of laid out real nicely. So I can't wait to get that nice and organized looking. And here is where we are at for a lot of these awesome miniatures here. So I guess one of the good things, bad things about these types of games, right, is you get a lot of these miniatures, but you're not really sure who is the good guys, bad guys, unless you already know more about the campaign to begin with. So, like, for example, we know, right, Lludwik here is the main bad guy of the game. I'd say pretty decent miniature there. Let me see around his face. Maybe a little bit, okay detail around the face there. These are really big miniatures though, so they are going to have, you know, you should kind of expect better detail on these guys than, you know, some of the smaller miniatures that we've seen, like, you know, from Dragori or, you know, any other kind of like D&D sized miniatures there. So this guy here carrying this big casket. But yeah, it's hard to say. Is this a good guy? Is it a bad guy? I'm sure, you know, the next thing here, these boards will very much indicate who our hero characters are. But there's lots of slime, and then you got a slime guy here. I think this is a good character, which is kind of funny because he looks a lot like the Lludwik character. There you go. And same thing with like these ones. This is the pizza guy, I think. This is also a good guy. I think a lot of these ones are, but then there is like this one, the Chumbawamba, who is a bad guy. Basically looks like a really weird iguana or something. And man, I'm already forgetting how this one went in because it seems like he went in very weird. There it is. All right. This one is like the previous king, but it's like an ink version, I guess, where he is, it's like some kind of ink that's pretending to be like him, and you see it's like coming out of like this book. So anyway, very interesting. This is probably, I think, one of the most unique things that they have in this campaign is the fact that they, for some reason, decided to give one of the bad guys, Lludwik here, like different arm attachments, where he can like put these different attachments into his arm. I think something like this, because yeah, I mean, hopefully it's going to be used in the campaign. I'm not really sure what other, you know, thing it would use if they only use this once, but maybe it was just some like cool thing that they thought would be fun to do. So excited to see what actually comes of that. And we'll check like this big bowl guy here too. So pretty decent miniature there. You know, just like a lot of this, all miniatures look, you know, much better if you get at least like a zenithal covering on them, or, you know, priming on them, or just anything, just because it's usually so much harder in these unboxing videos to show off miniatures and you feel like you actually can see them that way because they're just all gray. But anyway, here are player boards. They all have the let's see if you can even kind of see it, but like the indent here where you can put pieces in there, and that's how you level up your character. So these are like the spaces where the character already is at a starting spot. So this character has 3 melee and 3 magic, and then you can put additional points to upgrade your dice. This is very much a dice chucking kind of fun, you know, type of game. But you can also like spec her out with like ranged abilities, or if, you know, if it was a different character or something else. A build a boss board. Follow the setup instructions found on the back of any co-op villain insert in order to use this build a boss board to create a villain. Then place the insert with the artwork showing within its slot on the front side. Next up here, so we got lots of dice. This is a lot of ones that they already have, and then there is some D6 here that are kind of standard ones, so I'm not sure what those will be used for yet. And then we have a like a challenge coin. They do have this in the original box as well. And then we got the standees there, because I think they provide standees. And then the last is some bags there. So we got Rowan the Druid here, Dreadgar the Necromancer, Coach the Artificer, Isabella the Elementalist. She's got a lot of magic and melee ability, but not as good dice. So the white dice are not as good. William the Warlock, and Sir Thaddy Croaks the Burglar. And then the co-op build a boss board. So that's pretty cool. And then I believe this is kind of showing, so in the original game, there's these little boards that are these stands here that you put your miniatures on, and it's like indicating who is the primary target when you have multiple bad guys on the same spot. So I was just finishing my unboxing video and starting to go through the components when I realized, you know, there didn't seem to be like the normal punch boards for all the components. And I started looking around, and then I realized there was a whole section that I missed below this tray. I pulled this out. There's this plastic board here, and then all of the punch boards were underneath. So I was very, very concerned, because I was like, wait a second, it can't all just fit in that little cardboard card thing there. So luckily I did find it. It is there. It's underneath this tray. You'll pull that out, and then you'll have this there, and then all the punch boards will be there. So problem solved. Anyway, that's it. All right. Alright, so that is the Lludwik's Labyrinth box. Now we will quickly go over the Antagonist Arsenal box and see what is in here. So it says it adds 5 new one versus many villains and 1 new co-op villain. There is Mordak there in his kind of new artwork and sculpt there. So there is a rule book here. So it says, for a tutorial and frequently asked questions, visit valorvillainy.com. Rule book. So Antagonist Arsenal's expansion, which requires either minions of Mordak or Lludwik's Labyrinth to use. This expansion allows you to play a whole bunch of villains in a new and exciting game modes. You can have one player control the villain and other players control the hero in one versus many mode, or each player can control a hero and work together to take down a villain controlled by the game in co-op mode. Okay, and then it does say this book assumes that you have read, so you're already kind of familiar with both of the previous rule books. If you are getting into this one, it talks about the different components that are coming in this, and I guess it has some new setup and tells you kind of how to use with these new components and new bad guys. So it'll be interesting to see how, I guess, you use this book with the other one. Oh yeah, what's different with the one versus many villain? So looks like it's providing a lot of details on some changes maybe that they made and additional rules that they didn't have in the original version of the game. And Quest Mordak's Labyrinth. So there it is for using Mordak in the campaign. Okay, so we have more of these boss boards here. So there is a one versus many build a boss board and a co-op build a boss board. So it's actually interesting. So this one gives you, you're getting one for Lludwik's Labyrinth already, and you're going to get a second. So if you own this, you actually get 2. And then if you get this, you also get one that you can be used in the original game and kind of come up with your own one versus many boss there. All right, and then we have a lot of the sheets here. So we have the Keeper, which is a bad guy here in Lludwik's Labyrinth. Obviously, we have Lludwik himself here. He has his standee version. So you don't have to use the miniatures that we saw earlier. You can use these standees if you want as an alternative. And then this piece here is going to go into those boards, the board that we saw earlier. And there is the effigy of the king. That's what his name is. This ink character who acts like he is the king. And then we have Mordok, who is a boss, which will be used in the new boss board. And he has Procession of Terrors, which the original one was called Procession of Horrors. Oh, there's actually 2 of these. Interesting. Not really sure why there is 2. I think maybe one is for the co-op mode, and then maybe they did a new one for the one versus many mode. But we'll have to look at that a little bit more. And then we got the enormous golem here, who also has his own board. And then looks like we have some more spell cards, which, like I said, these were the ones that were the most popular, kind of starting out, or when playing the original game. And then some fun things in there. Got some more loots and even more spell cards. And then has polymorph. So I think some of these might be ones that you can use for the co-op mode, but we'll have to kind of dig into it more to really see what the difference is there. And then the last thing here is the new Mordok miniature, which is based on that artwork that we saw on the front of the box. So here he is, the new Mordok. He's got that long list of like spells and maybe grievances he has there. Looks like he's on top of like a sheep thing. And there's skulls and other stuff. This looks like it would actually be a pretty cool, fun miniature to do. And it's very silly. So you can kind of go wherever you want with this kind of thing. Interesting that it's not even a flat base. It's one that goes in kind of supporting the structure and then the basing of it. But anyway, so that is the new Mordok miniature there for Antagonist Arsenal. So we have even more punching out to do there. So people that love punching out things will have quite a bit to do, like usual, right, with board games. Anyway, so that concludes the unboxing there for both Lludwik's Labyrinth and Antagonist Arsenal. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll probably throw on a thing here at the end just to see what this looks like once it is kind of punched and organized, and maybe even have it set up and have like some pictures or maybe some video. We'll see. But at least show you what the game looks like once it's actually set up. Anyway, that is it for today. I really appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. I will be, of course, having more Daenerys Adventures content and getting through all the Learn to Play videos and plenty more. But I thought it was good since this kind of came in, and it's a nice little break of getting something different and not just always the same type of content. Anyway, really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.